This is part 68 of making food from every country. Today is Georgia, and I got a lot of suggestions to make hachapuri, so that's what I'm making. I started by combining a teaspoon of yeast, a tablespoon of sugar, a cup of warm water, a half cup of warm milk, and 3.5 cups of flour. I then kneaded it, added a tablespoon of olive oil, kneaded it again, and let it rise for an hour. While I was waiting, I made the filling by combining a cup and a half of shredded mozzarella cheese, a cup and a half of feta cheese, and a cup and a half of farmer's cheese. Once the dough had risen, I split it into 4 equal sections, rolled out each part, and added some filling to the middle while still making sure I left enough room to be able to add an egg to the center later on. Next, I rolled the edges like this, brushed them with egg, and baked at 450 for 15 minutes. Finally, I took them out of the oven, added some butter and an egg to the middle, and baked for another 3 minutes. And this is how they turned out. They tasted amazing, and I highly suggest making them.
Welcome to part 34, round 2 of making one dish from every country. Today I'll be doing Germany again, and this time I decided to make rouladen. So the first dish I made for Germany actually wasn't German, which was a mistake on my end, so I decided to remake the video and try to make something that was a little bit more traditional, and I actually got a lot of recommendations actually to make this, and while the origins of this dish are not certain, it's still a huge staple in many German households today. The dish itself is very easy to make and only required a few ingredients, and typically beef is used for this recipe, but I use veal, which is basically the same thing, but the only difference is that veal is a little bit smaller. Also, I cook mine in the oven, but I've also seen videos where they cook the rouladens on the stove, so I guess it all really depends on the family. Regardless, this taste is so amazing. I serve mine with some mashed potatoes and a homemade braised red cabbage, and overall I would highly suggest this because this was so delicious.